Welcome, everyone, at home, online, in the room. We are rolling through God's gifts for you. We're actually talking about the Ten Commandments. Most people think the Ten Commandments are these things, the laws that you can never live up to, which, by the way, you can't. So let's just get that straight. But he's not giving them to you like to drive you crazy or to like squash you on something there's no way you could live perfectly. He's like, I'm giving you the guideline of how I designed you, but I'm going to send Jesus because he's the only one that can live up to this perfectly. But the more you live like this, the more your life's going to flourish. And so like we've been going through, I love how we realize that the first three commandments like talked about our relationship with God. And again, the whole, I just think very natural, conversational, linear way, not just like segmented out like you do in a confirmation class, but like a conversation with God, like, hey, I'm God, you're not. Let me introduce myself. No other gods, okay? No other gods besides me, I'm it. You be my people, I'll be your God. We got that straight. Well, let me introduce myself. Here's my name. Use it well. Represent it well. Hey, I want time with you. Remember, the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Well, that means is set apart so you can have time with me. We can focus on knowing and one another. I mean, he knows you perfectly, but he loves that father relationship. And then I'm going to give you all the other ones to deal with your relationships with other people. Let's start with the most important ones: family, husband, wife, children. Obey, honor your father and mother. And then we got to the fifth commandment, and we unwrapped. There's so many deeper things. Like, yeah, you shall not murder, but that really could come down to just thinking a bad thought about your mom in your heart. Oh, who can do that? So these are all heart checks. And then last week, the really tough one also, not that any of these are easy, but a really tough one on sexuality and marriage and God's design for his gifts to flourish there. And today's seventh commandment. So let's get right into it. Pretty straightforward. Everybody read it with me. You shall not steal. All right. That seems pretty easy. I want to put this question up there just to get you guys started. I'm going to give you like literally 30 seconds to get with somebody or think about it, get with somebody at home. We're going to be doing a lot of discussion questions breakdown today throughout the thing, so get ready. So if you're getting a cup of coffee, make sure you don't get a cup of coffee too long at home so you know the questions are coming. Go, 30 seconds. What do you think motivates a person to steal? Talk amongst yourselves. Find someone. Get up if you have to. There you go. I like the movement. I don't know what some of your answers were. Shout out a couple. What motivates someone to steal? We're going to be doing a lot of shout outs today, real quick. So, greed? What? Greed? Need. Greed and need. They need something. Desperation. All good ones. I mean, who knows? Maybe I just want it and I just don't care. Or I don't think it's going to affect anybody. It could be anything. Yeah, no big deal. Okay, fine. Most of us be like, whatever. I got this one pretty good. I mean, I haven't stole a car, I mean, I didn't rob a bank. That's what, he's got me talking about stuff like that, right? That's easy. Call me at tax time. Oh, the government doesn't need it. They're taking too much. We'll go through stuff about give to Caesar what Caesar's and still be a man of integrity. That's where hits the road. Heart-wise. I struggle, obviously, it is no secret, as your pastor, I'm still one of the biggest sinners in the entire world, so my heart struggles all the time with every one of them, just like yours. You go to Kroger, I go to Kroger, these are true stories, actually, and I buy some apples. I bought some Honeycrisp apples, which are the best. And then I bought some cheap apples, like the Galas or whatever's on sale, and as we're going through the line, she just grabs all the apples, and the first one she scans is the Gala or whatever, and the Honeycrisp is like 4 times more expensive than that one. And she just like did it and rang it all in for the cheap one. And I'm like, They're not going to know. They don't care. Here's Satan's excuses. I'm sure they overcharged me before. And then it's like, God, thank you for convicting me. Like, no, this is like your mission field. I go to Kroger like 3 times a day. They all know me. I know them. I've prayed with them. Most of them know I'm a pastor. Talk with them about their lives. Hey, bring that up again. Ring it up right. And they look at you like, what? No one would do that. Guess what? That's a believer. That's a light in the world. That's what these are for. Years ago, my kids are probably at middle school, and I don't know what would be. I'm trying to remember the story. It's close. It's the best I can remember it. For some reason, the 4 of us were all in Walmart, which, just looking back, that's a dumb idea. Taking kids to Walmart. Anyway, so that's why I like grocery shopping, because Lisa always had to go grocery shopping with the 2 boys in tow, and I could just walk around the store by myself, didn't have any boys. This is fun. Grocery shopping by myself. Anyway, we're all in Walmart. We bought a whole bunch of stuff, and I think I needed a belt too, so I threw a belt in the bottom of the thing, and then you go through the line, and you're trying to watch the kids, and things are going on, and she's putting stuff up, I'm putting stuff up. Somebody paid for it. We all go out trying to grab the kids, don't get run over, whatever. And then we get to the car, and I'm loading the bags out, and I see a belt in the bottom of the cart, not in a bag. So I'm like, I don't think we paid for that. And sure enough, I just quick looked at the receipt, and I'm like, well, we didn't pay for it. And Lisa already just gave me the look, because she knew my heart. My heart was, I do not want to go back in that line and stand with all that Walmart return line. That's going to be too much hassle. I don't want to deal with it right now. And she just looked at me like, we're going to tell the boys. You're right. I know you're right. Fine. Go back in, A, because it's right, B, because I do want to set an example, like, boys, this is what we do. We could have walked out with this, no problem. Integrity, heart. What are you going to be? Those are 2 that I did right. I'm sure there's plenty, but the struggle's there. And that's what we get into with all the commandments. The commandments are more than just what you're doing or not doing, or about simply taking stuff or not. They're going to take it, Jesus is going to take it to a heart level on all of these. On a surface level, you might think you could actually do it. On a heart level, you can't do nothing, perfectly on all these. So we just got to keep that in check all the time. Let's put up what Luther says. He explains this commandment in the Catechism. He says we should fear and love God. Now, the fear is not like, oh my gosh, we're afraid of God. It's like, no, of respect. I'm in awe of God in a good way. And love him. I love him because he loves me unconditionally no matter what I do. We should fear and love God so that we do not take our neighbor's money or possessions or get them in any dishonest way. But here's the rub. And also help him to improve and protect his possessions, income, and I'll throw in status or job security. Gets hard there. That takes it to a whole nother level. So all the commandments, I hope you know this, most people think commandments just tell us what not to do, but there's always a what to do in them. Like, it's not just checking off the list of don't do it. It's like, hey, no, add the good things in so much that helps you not to do it. So the positive action are the things we should do, and that's the big idea of this commandment, that God created you and me, all of us, to look after the earthly gifts that he gives to everybody, our neighbors. And who's a neighbor? Everybody. To help with their life, to help with their well-being. That's what the commandment is given to us. That's a flourishing life and heart. All right? God's also saying to his believers, his brothers, his sons and daughters, hey, do you trust me? Pastor Anthony went through that a little bit. Look into your heart. Do you trust me to care for you? Do you trust me to provide for you? So that now you can actually live lives of generosity, that you can actually be someone that feeds and cares for people in need. Because I'm going to care for you. If I love the birds of the air and the flowers of the earth, don't I care for you? Won't a good father know how to give good gifts to his son? Go through the scriptures. Do you believe that? So we don't have to act on scarcity and hoarding, because God's a good God and the giver of good things. Heart stuff. So again, it's not just don't steal. Help our neighbors protect and even improve their position. That's hard. Anybody at work doesn't want to do that because they're not going to get the promotion. Wow, that's a hard thing for a heart. I don't have a promotion matters most banner. I don't have retirement matters most banner. I can't find that in the Bible. Attorney matters most banner. That's going to last forever. And maybe you take that guy along with you because you were different. That's where these all come into flourishing, not just for ourselves and for the delights of the world. And so we've been looking at the commandments and how the world just totally doesn't. The culture, the way of the world is so different, and that's where it bumps up against our culture today. You know, most people will agree with the "don't steal" statement, even if you're not a believer. Yeah, it makes sense. Morality. But help other people keep their stuff. Put my other coworkers first. Put their promotions first. You know, look at our neighbors, especially those who are not close to us, first, and be generous and helpful. And oh wow, now I got to really start thinking. And so. It may be not as straightforward as we would have thought it in the first place. So the aim this morning is for us to talk and examine what's going on in our hearts that keeps us from honoring and living out the positive side of the action in this commandment, and what keeps us from caring for neighbors and their possessions and their affairs. So we're going to use a story from Luke today to help us unpack some of these ideas. Luke 19. He entered Jericho and was passing through, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, talking about Jesus. Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector, and he was rich, and he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass by. And then Jesus came to the place, and he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hey, hurry, come on down. For I must stay at your house today. So he hurried, he climbed on down, and he received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. He has gone in to be the guest of a man who is a sinner? And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, since he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to what? Everybody read that? Seek and save the lost. All right. You probably know, if you don't, who was Zacchaeus and what was a tax collector. And if you don't really know, or you really want to fully more understand, watch The Chosen. I can't tell you enough. I can't tell you enough. Stream it. Find it somewhere. You can find it, The Chosen. It's free. It's the best show that will describe in the most accurate details I can think about first century Judaism. And the Matthew character is fantastic, who's a tax collector, who's also hated like every other tax collector. He's a chief tax collector, here's Zacchaeus, because they're thieves and robbers. And they're traitors to their people because they're probably Jews. And they're stealing from their friends because they could take whatever they want as long as they gave to Rome. So, they were nobody associated with them. All right, so you got to have that to understand, the next questions. So let's put up some more questions, and this is going to take a little longer. In your group, I'm going to go through these 3 questions. What do you think motivated Zacchaeus to become a tax collector, now that you know what that was? What beliefs do you think Zacchaeus held about wealth and earthly possessions? And what beliefs do you think Zacchaeus held about God? By the way, he's the son of Abraham, Jewish. About God that led him to be a tax collector. Go. You got a couple minutes. Hit it. At home. Get together. Discuss it. I'm only going to give you another minute because we're going to make these fast. So make fast discussions. Get everybody's opinion. And then be ready to shout it out because I'm going to ask you too. Let's shout some things out quickly. I'm going to get one or two for each one. What do you think motivated Zacchaeus to become a tax collector? Greed. Again, we can't see in his heart. That's the answer. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be. It's got to be something. It's definitely self. Sure not looking out for your neighbor. What beliefs do you think Zacchaeus held about wealth and earthly possessions? That's what matters. More. I'll take more. Not helping you. What beliefs do you think then Zacchaeus held about God that led him to be a tax collector? He did what?
He didn't think it was really important.
Did not think God's word was really important or what God wanted, that's for sure, or the fact that he was God's chosen person. Live for yourself. Good answer. And also, again, if you don't have a relationship with God, then why not just live for yourself? There's nothing else after this world, so hoard. So there's some sad things. Put the next one up, another quick one. All right? Now it gets a little more personal. Do this one. What similarities do you have with Zacchaeus when it comes to beliefs about their possessions and God? Harder. Go. Harder to share. But let's get there. For 30 seconds. This is harder. Spit them out. All right, throw me out some. This is a harder one if you're brave enough. This is about you, not about people. So you.
Retail therapy. You're having a bad day, so it's like, hey, I think I'll go to Macy's and check things out.
Okay, so goods will provide the hole that you're dealing with, or whatever, need or insecurity. Any others? I don't know what Zacchaeus' heart is. I mean, we can say by his actions, we can probably figure some of this stuff out. I think the thing is, we all got to see ourselves as sinners and tax collectors. And here's the important thing in the story. Well, we're going to unpack a couple of the important things in the story. Not what Zacchaeus did for a sin. What was Zacchaeus' motivation that day? Because the good news of the story is, who did he come looking for? He came looking for Jesus. Jesus already knew that. He already, knew Zacchaeus' heart. So ask this last question. What do you think Zacchaeus was hoping would happen when he found him? Because he went looking for him. So do that quick. What do you think he was hoping for? What do you think Zacchaeus was looking for, hoping for? All right, throw me out a couple. Anything? What do you think he was looking for? Yeah. What? Maybe he wanted to be taller. I don't. Maybe. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe is this God and salvation? Is this Messiah? Is it true? Validation. Maybe validation. I don't know. Maybe life change. Maybe a way out of the hole he dug. And here's the thing. Here's what he's got right. Take this home. We've all dug the hole in some way. with whatever sin or things we got, and he knows the one way out. Do you? It's Jesus. That's the only way out of your sin problem, your salvation problem, your life problem, your heart problem in anything. That's what he gets right, and let's hold on to that today. And that's the only thing that brings life change. The commandments don't bring life change. Law doesn't bring life change. Law brings conviction, and law brings sadness. Gospel brings life change. Good news of Jesus and what he's done. His death, resurrection, his unconditional love for you, that he loves you no matter what you've done. Zacchaeus, do you know that? He didn't even have to spell it out. He just said, I'm coming to your house. That's enough. No one else would do that. They all hated that. And what happened? All he said, come down and come to your house. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, behold, half my goods I give to the poor, and if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. That's fast life change. That's fast heart change that led to action change. Pow. Starting with Jesus, seeking him out, hunting him down, showing him that there's a better way, and I'm the most important thing. And that's the key. What caused this radical change? Did Jesus come and change first, I'm coming? You're a horrible tax collector. Did he put shame and guilt on the guy? Hey, I'm going to give you a list of stuff to do. If you can't come back and give me a report. No, you don't see any of that in this story. I'm coming to your house. I'm not even asking. I want a relationship with you. I know who you are. I hear what they're saying. He invited him to his house to dinner when in the ancient world, everybody there said, no way. No God person, no respecting Jew that believes in Yahweh is gone to a tax collector's house. Thief, enemy. It wasn't just Jesus inviting himself to a meal. It was inviting him to a relationship. What happens in a relationship around a table? Life, forgiveness, grace, knowing one another. Before this meal, Zacchaeus was isolated to himself or with whatever little small group of people that were also motivated by theft and money and tax, everything like that. Isolated from his family, isolated from his countrymen because he's stealing from them. Isolated from a faith community because, he's God's chosen people and doesn't want anything to do with that. The whole world says he's the worst sinner. So he's isolated from God as well. Probably feels that, even God has outcast him because all God's people have outcast him. And now we have God in the flesh. He says, yeah, don't believe all that. Whatever. Cast the first stone. Everybody's sinners. I'm the only one that can heal this. And at this dinner table with Jesus, having conversations, feeling his love, not judgment, his heart changed. He was transformed, and you see the radical changes that brought in his life and the way he saw the rest of his life in the world. And why did Jesus do it? Remember that last line we said together? For the Son of Man came to what? Seek and save the lost. He fulfilled his mission that day. And so for us, the question this morning is, what is actually motivating us? And what does that motivation have on our lives? Are we like the pre-Jesus encounter Zacchaeus, all about us? Or are we the post-Jesus encounter? Oh my gosh, I'm so blown away and changed by the love of Christ, I can't even act the same way. He gave me so much, I don't deserve anything I got. I just want to be trusting in him, and I know he's going to provide. Because the things that we believe to be true about God and the things we believe to be true about other people will affect our behaviors. We need to know the truth. If we hold on to false beliefs about who God is, that he's an angry judge, we can't live up to anything, he's just ready to squash us. He teaches that I got to help myself, pull myself up by my own bootstraps. Well, then we're going to stay in pre-Zacchaeus Jesus, or pre-Jesus Zacchaeus, and isolation and loneliness and filling up holes with stuff that ain't going to last. If we believe that we're better than everybody else, or that everybody else is out to get us, it's unfair, well, we're going to be defensive, we're going to be greedy, we're going to be like this, isolated again, especially when it comes to resources, all about us. Or do we have the truth of who Jesus is when he looks at new eyes like Zacchaeus? Do we have a view that God loves us unconditionally? Now, we don't have to change anything for him to love us, and yet when we realize the extent of his love, it changes us. our beliefs cause us to see God and other people in either isolated, warped ways or the ways that he would see people. Put on the Jesus lenses. How does Jesus see the people in my life? How does Jesus see the situation? How does Jesus see the decision I have regarding some finances or other things right now? And he didn't just say, try harder and do better. He said, let me just walk with you. Let me eat with you. Let me dine with you. So diving into the Ten Commandments at a deeper level, realize they're God's gift for us to flourish. He's giving it to us. And it's supposed to kind of like make our heads spin a little bit, like with the whole like, I can't do it all. And he's like, yeah, you can. So like Zacchaeus, focus on me. I'm the only one that can live it perfectly, but now you can be changed by the grace of God. You can be righteous by the grace of God, by the blood of Jesus. If we view them as a list of things we need to do and learn and check off the list, Pastor Anthony used that a couple times, like, check, 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 go. God has got it saying these are our heart things. And think about this. It's a gospel thing that transforms us. The Ten Commandments, if you remember how they started, it wasn't just a list of rules or a guidance or gifts. It was, hey, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. I gave everything for you. I sacrificed everything for you. I've saved you. I've redeemed you. I bring you out of the pit. I love you even though you're a rebellious, horrible people. Let's start with how much I unconditionally love you. Now, if you believe that, here's the things that are going to make your life better. Take it or leave it. I hope you take it. And so Jesus, or just like Jesus transforms Zacchaeus over a meal, I hope you leave here today saying, oh, I'm in contact with that Jesus right now. And he's saying, come on down of whatever tree you're in, whatever isolation you're in, and I'm already part of you. I'm coming to your house. I'm in your house right now. I'm in your heart. I'm leaving with you because we just had communion. He's part of us. And you are now transformed by another meal with Jesus. He reminds us at this table, that he's close and he's present and he's with you as you leave here to help transform you. This table, just like Zacchaeus' table, helps us realign our beliefs about who God is, how much he loves us, who we are. And then it's at this table that relationship strengthens us to see the Jesus lens, which transforms then our hearts, which then transforms our actions and our behaviors. So let's embrace this transformation. And let's remember, it's not from obeying the commandments that it comes. It's from hanging out with Jesus, which then it also changes our actions. Don't get lazy on that. But embrace the reality that Jesus is close with you. He loves you. He's for you. He promises to provide for you. And embrace this reality that we can actually, because of those truths that we actually believe, it changes the way we see our neighbors. We can love them. We can serve them. We can celebrate with them. We can actually try to set them up for success. Celebrate with them. Flourish with them as well, help them flourish, and then we can move from people of scarcity to people of generosity only because of the relationship with Jesus that he sought us out first. Let's put this last verse up. God so loved the world, you, and the people that don't believe in him, and the people at work, and the people at school, and the guy down the street that you yell at because like he doesn't mow his lawn enough in his house. He looks like the worst one on the block, and you complain about it all the time. He loves him too. Or pick something about why his lawn's too, his lawn's too high. Maybe they're old. Maybe they got COVID. Maybe they're so desperate they can't even get out of the house. We don't know their stories. Jesus knows their stories, and Jesus knows yours. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Let's not live lives of a condemning heart. He's calling us today. Live lives of a generous heart, not just with gifts and not just with finances and not just with resources, but with loving others and putting them first as Jesus does. Let's rise and sing.